Are you ready to break through the mental barriers holding you back? Welcome to the Mind Mastered Secrets of Excellence with Don Grant. Since 2001, Don has been guiding elite athletes like PGA Tour champions, Olympians, and world champions, and everyday individuals toward peak performance. With a proven track record, including helping Vijay Singh win the 2008 FedEx Cup, and her PGA Tour clients averaging a 219% increase in earnings. Dawn knows what it takes to succeed. She's the inventor of the Mind Mastered app, author of 7 Strokes in 7 Days, a sought-after speaker worldwide, and the proud owner of Amelia Shotgun Sports in Northeast Florida. Join us as we dive into powerful strategies, inspiring interviews, and Dawn's unique insights to help you excel in every area of your life, sports, career, relationships, and beyond. And now, here's your host, Don Grant.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Mind Mastered Secrets of Excellence. And so, what is it that those are excelling at different things in their life? What are they doing and how do they do it? And what are some of those secrets? And so not only do I like to help people to experience excellence, but I also like to pick their brains and find out, what has brought a person excellence? What challenges have they faced along the way? What are some common denominators? All of that great stuff. So the Mind Mastered Seekers of Excellence, I have Isaac Kenyon with me now, and he is an eco-adventurer, which I'm dying to know what that means. So human-powered extremes for climate action and mental well-being. That's a mouthful. I can clearly see there's tons to learn about you, Isaac, and what an impact that you're having on the world. So thank you for taking time to be a part of my podcast.
Well, yeah, that's a great entrance with eco-adventurer. It always needs a definition, a defining definition, doesn't it, right at the start? Eco-adventurer,
Yes.
environmental, focused, cause-related impact with adventures and outdoors and that sort of thing.
Yes. Did you come up with that word yourself?
Although there is obviously others who've used it too. I'm not going to lie and not say I've not seen it before being used, but I've used it in this way for representing sort of the types of things I get up to.
Yes. I was scrolling through your homepage, and do you know there are a group of guys here in the town that I live in who called Four from Home that rode the Atlantic Ocean in one of those little capsule boats that I see on your page. Where did you row with your team? Oh, yeah. Which was it, the Atlantic?
Yes, I rode across the Atlantic. I went from the Canary Islands to the Caribbean Antilles. It was lovely.
Which year?
It was in 2018-19, so it was over the 2018 Christmas into January of 2019.
They do that yearly, right?
Yeah,
okay.
There's people do it at different times of year. So there is races, and we did it as part of a race. But there's also individuals who do it as a sort of self-supported mission. When we were self-supported as well, but there was a race element to it, so kind of there was communications going on. Whereas with them, they just pack themselves, and you get people who can do it in April. And the reason why you do over the Christmas break or sort of December through to January is because we do not want the hurricane. That's it. Yeah. So you're avoiding the hurricanes. However, those who do it in April, they quite like the additional wins that they get, so that you can break some records. So you will find some people do it in a more dangerous time to go faster. I don't know the team that you've spoken about, but I'm gonna if you could share me the details or whatever.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
It says the world's toughest row, 3,000 miles. It was the Talisker whiskey, but I'm looking for their date. It doesn't feel like it was more than 3 years ago. But what a cool thing. And we live in a fairly small town. So I was actually mental trainer for several of the guys on there. And one of the things I did with my hypnosis was see wellness instead of see sickness. And he only had some seasickness for less than like 12 hours. He was eaten by the second day, and everybody else on the boat was not able to eat and had seasickness for a while. Anyways, but yeah, I just saw that when I was flipping through, and I can't see the year, but anyways, we'll move on. So cool and amazing, but I can understand that adventure that you went on, because I was a big part of the Four from Home when they were doing it, and oh my gosh, the thoughts of how many days that they were out there and you were out there. But that's not the only huge adventure. Like, tell me some of the adventures that you've done.
Yeah. Adventures have been small, large, at home, away from home. They've been various different formats. An adventure, in my view, is something that kind of stretches me, pushes me, and has a wider purpose beyond me. Okay, that's quite a broad term, but it's simply for this to be an adventure for me, it has to kind of hit those criteria. So some of the stuff I've been up to is endurance challenges in the UK. I've done things like cycle from the Orkney Islands, which are these archipelago of islands just north of Scotland, across sea from those islands, water biking over very dangerous tidal streams of sort of 20 knots, and then surviving, and then getting to mainland Scotland at the top, at the most northern point, and then cycling the whole way through, and then getting to the southernmost tip of England, which is of mainland UK, and then getting on the water bike again, and then doing another crazy stint on the water bike, cycling across water to the Isles of Scilly, which is another archipelago of islands just south west of Cornwall in southern England. So that's one of the things I've done. I've run across the whole of Wales, doing some of the highest peaks in one go, basically as a sort of endurance non-stop run. And then I've done some stuff that's just required me being in the gym. I've sat on a rowing machine for 3.5 days straight non-stop and rowed. Never stopped. Which is an adventure in itself. It's almost like you transport yourself into a different world to sort of achieve something like that. You've kind of got to literally think outside the box. And then I've done lots of other sort of endurance challenges in different countries, like climbing mountains and stuff like this. And it's all been usually focused around something wider and bigger than myself, like a cause or something like that. I'm sure we'll dig into that discussion later. But adventure's been great. I've had a really good time, but it all came from taking a leap of faith.
What possessed you to come up with? Because I see a picture on the website. You're on the bike type thing, but it has the floaties. What is that something you came up with? As far as, like you said, you paddled and then you did the next thing on the island, and then you went and paddled again. Like, did you invent this concept? Maybe that's the wrong word. This flow of events in order to raise money. Like, was that your own mind coming up with that idea?
What? Yeah, it wasn't ChatGPT.
That's not a team thing either. Like, this was just you. Like, it wasn't the Talisker challenge or whatever.
It totally was from my own mindset. Yeah, I've got a kind of lot of different ideas all the time. I have a mind of a child, and sometimes I have to reel myself in. Fiance is always saying, like, calm down, which, that sort of thing. But I have a mind of a child. I'm happy to, try new things and take risk and actually follow through what I think, which is very unusual in this day and age. Everyone's very risk averse, and they think of things they really want to do, and they wouldn't do it.
You are like a soulmate with this man that lives over here. His name's Paul Lohr. And he is one of the ones that did the Talisker challenge, but he's constantly thinking of the next thing he's going to do to raise money for some kind of, nonprofit or constantly. And so he's already got multiple other rows planned. He's always trying to get people to jump in with him. I don't think he's met anybody that's functioning at the same level as him. But you guys are probably like bosom buddies, like soulmates of some sort. He's just like you.
We like a bit of fun, it sounds like.
It's interesting. It's really interesting. So, and it takes an element of fearlessness, right? Because not only are you out there doing these events or activities that could stir up a ton of fear in somebody, like being out in the middle of the ocean or whatever, rowing for several days at a time, being out there by yourself, like whatever. There's so many opportunities for like a normal person to have fear, but you have not only overcome what would be considered normal fear, but you like take it to all these extra levels too, and fearlessness. So, yeah, because I'm going to do it for 3 days. I'm not just going to do it for 5 hours. I'm going to do it for 3 days. So I'm dying to get in your head. Like, when did this start for you?
Wow.
Were you adventurous as a child?
Yeah, I was kind of adventurous. My parents do say I was quite adventurous. I wanted to be someone who was in the Jurassic Park film, like I was keen for
unique.
Jurassic Park, right? and I actually studied geology and went into geoscience as a sort of a career field as well, beyond the speaking and venturing. And it was because of my love of adventure and curiosity, and not, if a dinosaur was real, I wouldn't be scared to, go see it.
You're like, can I pet you?
I'll choose which dinosaur wisely, which one to pet. Like, it's kind of not something I fell into. It's something I discovered. So it wasn't something that was taught to me, to have this sort of level of anti-fear and things like that. Fear for me is growth. Like, I see fear as a really good opportunity rather than a something to stay away from. And that mindset is, growth mindset kind of thing. I very much see it as an opportunity to sort of stretch myself and whatever. But I also see it as, fear can be used in a way for good. You can turn something that's very scary into something that's very positive and impactful. And I've done it on a number of occasions. And once I did it once or twice, I saw, this is a huge opportunity that no one is using. No one is making use of fear. Like,
give me an example. Yeah. You said a few times you've seen it.
Yeah, for instance, we have let's go for a climate problem, climate issues. Everyone is very scared about climate. But people not acting, trying to change things, what they do, or provide some form of inspirational motivation to drive a more sustainable change. Let's call it that. So they're scared of change, scared of innovation. Now, climate change and this is adaptability. This is an opportunity here to look at the challenge and see, can we make things better than they were before? Now, in a number of businesses, for instance, sustainability practices have actually been very cost-effective and profit-making and innovative, and have turned into opportunities. But not everyone sees that. Some people are just scared of change, or scared of, doing it because, this big existential crisis is too much. They get paralyzed. But if you take that fear, you can turn it into something that actually drives things forward. And that is a really, missing thing, I think, that we lack in society in most people. They see fear and they just freeze. I mean, when you go into a keynote speaking gig, there's a bit of fear, and you can freeze, can't you, as well, before you're about to speak on stage to 1,000 people. Yes. So there is that sort of, that's very possible. But then you can also take the opportunity of, yes, I'm scared, but I can turn that into nervous energy to translate my message and make it stronger for the audience. There's always an opportunity with every fear moment. And I think sometimes we miss it. We miss that.
Yeah. My brain is going to several different things. It's interesting because I teach that fear-based thinking is, well, obviously very limiting, but can be shifted to what would be love-based thinking. And, not to sound sappy or anything, but fear-based thinking is I'm afraid. I'm afraid that's going to happen. I'm afraid this is going to happen. I'm scared of this. This is horrible. This is, catastrophic. And so my focus with people is always like, well, let's shift that to love-based. Like, what can you learn from this? But I'm hearing from you like more about embracing it and then shifting it, like seeing it as an opportunity, which I like. Like I feel like you're transitioning a little bit more gently. You're like suggesting, acknowledge it, embrace it, and then use it to help you to catapult forward or something.
Yeah. Catapult forward or help others. It's amazing when you can be scared of something and act on something, but actually how much help that can give someone else, or even the planetary ecosystem. Doesn't have to be people.
Yeah, I think also is like so many people would rather complain about the issue or feel like they're a victim of it versus being proactive towards it, right? Like, do you notice that's kind of human tendency is to fester in it rather than, well, okay, I see it. Now what can we do about it?
100%. I was one of those people. This mindset didn't come to me. It was learned because I was festering in it, and I knew all that was happening was downward negative spiral continuously. I was not getting out of this dark place I was in until I reframed what fear was. And that really helped me get out of my struggles, issues of burnout, and all these other things that were mental health, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and things I had. There was a number of things that were going on in that moment that kind of triggered me to then start reframing stuff, or else there was no going back. It was like there was a path I was on, and if I continued that path, I wouldn't be speaking on this podcast today.
Right.
So I had to make a shift, and something had to change. And one of them was like how I defined fear, and well-being practices, and all these things changed in my life. And I still talk about it today, really. Some of the stuff I learned in that moment has been so exceptional. I've been able to row an ocean, break world records, all these things that we were talking about overachievement earlier, like all these things that people say is overachievement was only possible because of this mindset shift that took place when I was in my lowest point.
How old were you at that, what you're calling your lowest point?
I was about 19, 20 years old. So it wasn't too long ago, actually. But through the years of sort of schooling out towards my university years, where I was 19, 20, when it happened at university, where I was having the real problems, it was just compounding. As you were saying, I was just kind of letting it build over time, and it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And I was just following this route years over years to a dead end. So I had to change my direction and everything, like compass, who I am, questions came out, all of that deep thinking that sometimes you just don't have in your school days or at university. It's not something we're trained to learn how to do. Often, people figure it out from unfortunate events, or sometimes they're quite lucky and they figure it out. But it's very much, for me, it was a very unfortunate event. It's why I'm able to live fortunately today.
Yeah, we're a pretty stubborn species. Most people have to hit some kind of rock bottom before they do anything different, right? It's got to really be uncomfortable before they become more proactive. And I find that kind of a fascinating thing about us humans. So I love that you shared that you had hit some kind of a bottom, and then you're like, I don't want to be like this anymore, right? And it's not a matter of anybody else telling you. Like, you had to come to that yourself. And that
was two choices.
Yeah.
End it or don't. And if you don't, make sure you make it count and change everything, to what you're doing.
Yeah.
That was it. I was like, real easy 50-50.
So what was the first thing you did then?
Swimming the English Channel.
Okay.
That was a good one. That was really good. I had a swimming background. I used to swim a lot at school, and when I was younger, it used to be my favorite sport. Partly because it was my mum's favorite sport, and then she got me into swimming. And then from there, I was swimming, lots of hours, but inside in a pool. So sport was a good outlet for me, but it wasn't the thing that really screamed excitement. There's nothing like being in a fishbowl. It's so exciting going from wall to wall. But what I'm trying to say is that the outdoors was really where things started to really unlock for me.
I could see that.
Yeah, the indoor stuff was great, and it kept me fit and physically healthy, and I had a focus and things like that. But it wasn't quite exciting, or it was very comfortable. Just going up and down in lengths. It's a comforting thing. I got very good and easy. I got quick at it and good at it. And yes, there was some discomfort in terms of when I started getting competitive and pushing the boundaries of what's possible by increasing the hours in the pool and the demands in the competition days and all of that and the pressure. But the outdoors was just a different game altogether. That was not a game that I felt that I was playing from the start. It was something that
So I could see how it would feel like you were in a fishbowl and it wasn't really a lot of wow around it when you're swimming back and forth. So what was the next? So I imagine you figured that out pretty quickly. Like you're like, okay, I need a more wow factor. I need to be.
I was missing real connection with myself, and I found when I was in the outdoors, in nature, those deep, meaningful conversations with yourself was really easily facilitated because you didn't have all the noise, you didn't have all the distraction, you just simply had that state of being. You can hear, the sound of the trees and stuff like that. Really meditative things. And then it was kind of in my mind, how can I just keep incorporating more of this, threading more of this into my life, because I'm getting a lot of joy out of it and enjoying it and connecting with myself out of it. So open water swimming was kind of a bridging thing where you could combine being outside and the swimming skill set I already had. And then English Channel sort of was the challenge to kind of build into, to sort of drive myself into that habit of getting outdoors more. Yeah. And then I found all these other sports, and then it's just like kid in a candy shop.
Yeah, I could see that. So what was next after the channel? Because I'm thinking that you probably took a pretty big jump to something more extravagant. What was next?
That was the 3.5-day world record. And that was part of the campaign for the ocean row.
Okay.
So I did those two things kind of together in tangent.
Did you have fear going into that, or were you already feeling like it's just the next logical step? I got this, no problem.
Loads of fear.
Okay.
Loads of fear. It was scary, but it was like don't jump out of this plane. It's not like jump out of plane without a parachute scary in my mind. It wasn't like I'm going to kill myself doing this. It was, there is risk. There is ways to overcome the risk. And one of the things that kind of reassured me from the fear factor level was that the fact that people have survived and crossed oceans with much less technology than we have today. The first settlers who just kind of went across different countries. If they're able to do it, then surely I could do it. Or so there was that sort of feeling of we are in a 21st century. There's all of this equipment. It can't be that hard, really. Even though it looks like a really tough challenge, it can't be that difficult.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I think about that all. Like if we're driving through the Blue Ridge Mountains or something, heading west in the U.S., I'm always like, how in the hell did those people survive, the frontiersmen through the winter and everything? Like, mind-boggling. We could, barely drive through with a car, especially not in the winter. I just find that mind-boggling. But the other thing that's coming to my mind listening to you is that show Alone. My husband and I love watching that. We sit down, we watch every episode in every country. And one of the things that I enjoy from being a mental trainer is watching the transition emotionally, and mentally, and spiritually, which a lot of the folks on that show say is so much more profound than the physical aspect of it. You know, that time alone. Oh my God, it's okay. I'm sure you've done this. That's why I'm going to talk about it. Is like when I'm watching this show, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, they don't have cell phone, they don't have TV, they don't have the convenience stores, blah 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 blah. So not even about the food or the shelter. Like there's no distractions. And so all of a sudden they're thinking about their mom who passed away, 10 years ago, and they're thinking about their childhood, and they're processing all of these things that probably would have been buried their whole life because they would have been just distracted all day long with whatever they're doing. So to me, that's one of the really cool things about it. There's some of them bail as soon as it gets uncomfortable. And I mean that kind of uncomfortable. I don't mean the physical or the food. I mean, like, there's too many emotional things coming up. It's not even the alone aspect at that point, because that drives some of them crazy too. But just the thinking about their childhood or their life or their relationships or blah, 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 whatever these things are that they keep buried. Some of them stick around for the ride and work through those thoughts and emotions, and some of them don't want to deal with them. So I imagine you've had a ton of that at this point with all these adventures.
Yeah, I've definitely met my past. I've met
Yeah.
it, worked through it. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say all of it is fixed or solved or whatever. Some of it, I'm content with it being how it is. But there is obviously a lot of time to process. So much you can process, and so much you can look forward to. The mind is the best
Yes.
creativity tool out there. So, like, even in the alone scenario, you can sit and you can process a lot of your past and things like that. But you can also think of creativity. How can I get out of this? How can I build a new skill? So there's so much in just yourself and silence that often we just don't allow ourselves to have. It's almost like
Yeah.
there's some sort of design going on in the world to prevent ourselves in silence. I'd
Yes.
love to know the reasoning behind that.
Right?
Yeah,
Me too.
there's always a reason behind it, right? But it's probably dark, and they're probably going to cancel the show. Sorry, but, yeah, but I think it's really important that people learn to spend time with themselves properly. And I love this whole like travel to find myself. It's often the travel where you're kind of in a remote region, or your cell phone's off and you're having to rely on your own resources and stuff like that. That kind of helps. You can work out things of your past or yourself or where you're going. This stuff is really exciting. But I definitely have been in a lone situation. I like wild camping, or just we call it wild camping because it's not an illegal campsite. So we just go off into the. It's not really wild in the UK, but or somewhere we just go into a really natural space and just
Yeah.
spend some time alone. I like doing that. Sometimes I'll just take this sack. It's called a bivy sack, and then
Yeah.
I'll just climb into it and just stay under the stars for the night. Fiance, she's always like, "You're weird. Why would you do that? It's freezing cold. Why would you just go out on a hill and just sleep in this slug?"
Sleep in a
I
slug.
know, it's like a slug when I'm in it. It's really funny. But it's yeah, I like it. I enjoy it. It's my time, to reflect.
Yeah.
And I've definitely, since that processing point when I turned my mindset around from a very dark place, I'm always giving myself space to continuously do that. It should
Yes.
be part of human nature. I can't imagine what we were like as hunter-gatherers back in the day, but I'm sure we didn't have, Apple iPhones and advertisements and TV everywhere and people had more time to process and think back then.
For sure. I've told my husband, I'm like, I would love I don't know how to do it because I don't wanna sleep on the ground. That hurts. It's uncomfortable. So I I wanna be able to sleep at night. I don't wanna have to, like, kill any animals to eat, but I wanna still experience that alone kind of thing. I don't know how, though. I have to find some kind of balance. Um, I don't wanna have to hunt and gather,
You
and I
could
wanna sleep
take
comfortably.
your food like camping and just go into a remote area and know that, yeah, you maybe tell someone where you're going, and then you just give it a go. You just live out there with your food, cooking, cleaning,
I need a
build your
comfy
own
bed,
shelf.
though.
Yeah, well, there is comfy beds you can make from natural materials. There's videos on it.
Is
I
it
bet you
really
could let.
comfy?
Yeah, I've made beds from like bushcraft beds and built my own shelters and things, and slept in them. Yes, you've got to choose wisely your sort of bedding. Raise it from the ground, and you can
Yes.
learn all of this sort of thing. Uh,
I've learned all that from
yeah,
watching Alone.
yeah. You do not want to be on the floor with the creepy crawlies going all over you, and there's ways to do it. Um,
Uh-huh.
I think you can make it comfortable. So I've seen some bushcraft houses that people have made that they've taken like a month to do. Like a month of building the shelter, and it's just unreal. It's like an architectural,
I think
incredible
that's
thing.
so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they slept in it. So you could do that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I love it. I think that humans, we're animals, we need to be in nature just like any other creature, and a lot of people don't recognize that. The ones that are living in cities with concrete everywhere, there is a level of energy that they're lacking, and whether it's form shows up as depression or whatever. um we need to be connected with nature, and those that recognize it and are deliberate about it can definitely benefit from that. That's the fact that you recognize you didn't want to be just swim back and forth in an indoor pool or something. You're like, I got to take this outside. It was pretty neat. But then everything else it looks like you've been doing is out there. Like you already know that this nature is where you need to be.
Yeah, yeah. And I haven't gone as far as outer space. I'm sticking to Earth. But
For right now.
yeah, I think Earth is enough for me. Um,
Okay.
yeah, but that could be the next thing, right? Space adventuring is
Yeah.
definitely something that's been explored with this whole the debate of space tourism and things going on, which is a whole ethical story.
Nice, nice. So what's your most recent adventure?
Most recent one so far has been this year. I've been
Mhm.
focusing a lot on outdoor swimming again. So I've gone in full circle. I've gone around so many different sports, and I'm coming back to the open water swimming because I miss it, and I miss swimming. So I've
Uh-huh.
started to sort of build into the next adventure already, and I'm doing these sort of small adventures, kind of building up into a larger crescendo, and I'm looking forward to it. I've got this again wacky vision in my mind that I'm following, like a compass, and yeah, we're bringing some of these elements from historical expeditions and taking the best bits that I enjoyed in all of these different areas and the
Ah.
things that made the best impact in all these different expeditions, like the best impact for maybe for the cause or inspiration, whatever it was, and then trying to put it together. So it's constantly crafting, evolving, something that's really fun to follow. And yeah, I'll be able to share more about it on my socials soon, but I can't really reveal too
Okay.
much.
Okay, all right. But you said you're doing little adventures leading up to it. What are some of the little ones you're doing leading up to it? Are you able
Com-
to say that?
yeah, just things to do with community, really. And
Oh,
some of the
okay.
things that I really enjoyed about all of these sort of adventures I do get up to, I have done some solo ones where I've been on my own and just completely did it by myself. Like I did an Ironman with a weighted vest completely on my own. It was the first time anyone's ever completed that. And it was really challenging wearing the 15 kilograms for the whole thing. And it was really challenging, the physical part, but the actual hardest part was not having a team and not having community with it. That was harder than
Yeah.
the actual challenge. So Yeah, I'm doing a lot more community because I think it's more impactful. I'm seeing it grow more than doing the solo challenges, in terms of impact and inspiration, but also in terms of my own personal growth. I think doing it on my own is just, yeah, I kind of done a few things on my own. I kind of know what it's like now. It's not, it's quite growth inhibiting rather than expanding.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sort of seeing it as a hindrance more than anything. So going back to community adventuring, so getting people involved to do like open water swims and stuff like that, litter picks and things together. So I'm starting to do that sort of thing, and then it's going to build into something even bigger with community. Yeah, community, my favorite word of the year this year.
Community.
Yeah.
You said the solo adventures are hindering even. So tell me what you mean by that.
They tell a message that I don't agree with. So it's a message of push on through on your own. You can do it if you just keep going. You can fight your own battles. It's not a message that really I think is a solid solution for translatable inspiration to people.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't think it's a helpful message. So I've come away from that now. Well, I wanted to do it to test what's it actually like on my own, doing it all myself. It was personal experimentation. And yes, I developed a lot more mental resilience tools to be able to handle it. Some things I never used in my previous expeditions, I was using in the solo challenges, and very exciting for me personally, but didn't help. Like, it doesn't help anybody outside of it, really. It
Yeah.
was quite selfish in respect to the kind of ethos I'm all about. I really do like to share and give and provide for the community, people, the Earth's ecosystems, whatever. I want a wider mission, so that's why I moved
Right.
away from it. But I'm glad I
That makes
did it to
sense.
know what it was like.
That makes total sense. But you also started that way with your individual swim, right?
Yeah, it was kind of
Without
like that.
realizing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what happens is when you realize how special a team and community is, it's very difficult to go back. But I did go back onto the solo thing, and then I realized,
Right.
this really isn't that effective, and it doesn't help that many people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great perspective or insight there.
Mhm.
So you're working up to this next secret thing that's coming out soon on your social media. But what was the most recent adventure that you did before preparing for this upcoming one?
The Iron Man with the vest.
Okay, got it.
And then that one was off outside in nature, kind of very much. I guess if I was to describe it in one word, enduring. It was very enduring. I was enduring it, um, and it reminded me of people just enduring for the sake of enduring. And the hidden message was, once I relieved the vest and I reconnected with my people, my friends, and stuff like that, life got better. So there was a film with it as well, and it's touring film festivals. We had the film crew filming bits about it, but yeah, I mean, it was just enduring, and I don't think that's that. Enduring is fun to a point, but it just reminds me of unhappy people pushing in one direction and not realizing that that direction is not serving them.
Yes. Well, and you've carried that message into your team building and your public speaking, I
Mm.
imagine, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a good message to share. This doesn't work. This does work. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. It's good
Even in your
translatable experiences. Yeah.
even related to your leadership trainings and such, right? Is
Mhm.
you can't do this alone. You're
Yeah,
not a
100%.
one-man band. Yeah, I
Yeah.
could see that. I could see that all carrying over. What so you've got these long endurance kind of activities. How would you describe being in what's called the zone state. I'm sure you've
Yeah,
experienced it a lot.
yeah, this the state of in the zone, it can come and go in different ways, like in endurance or in my work. I could be preparing a speaking gig or something like that, and I'm in flow
Mhm.
state. Uh,
Mhm.
when I'm on stage, it comes in different ways, but it often is when I'm riding in discomfort.
Mm.
I really get into it when I'm in discomfort because it, when I'm in discomfort, it requires my full attention and focus, and I'm like, okay, I need to kind of really go all in on this and get this going. And when I'm swimming and you feel that cold water shock when I was swimming the English Channel, was 10, 11 degrees Celsius, only a little speedos was allowed, no wetsuit. You get the shock, you're awake, you're zoning on your breathing, you're focusing on your breathing, you're focusing on keeping yourself moving, keep warm. You're in the zone because you have no other things getting in your field of view. You just have to focus on that one thing. The same with speaking. I get that a lot with speaking. Like I'm on the
Mhm.
stage, right? We're now doing the talk, and zone. And the same with even on the podcast like this. Sometimes I'll just go into the zone when I'm doing my chat. I
Mhm.
enjoy it. It has to be something I enjoy as well. That sort of
Yeah.
feeling of I'm doing what I love, and that's important. Endurance, I get that, but I didn't get it so much on the solo thing. The solo endurance challenges, I got it a lot with the team stuff. Yeah, the team challenges.
Mm.
I really like the rhythm of it.
Mhm.
The rhythm that you get in this state of sort of good feeling. You get this rhythm where you know that you're doing the right thing because you've lost track of time. As soon as I lost track of time, I'm like, I must have enjoyed that.
Right.
Yeah, whatever it was. Maybe it was an email. That sucks, but it, I don't know. But it could be something like you were writing an email in that short pace of time, and then it's been like 20 minutes, but you were really
Yeah.
focused on that one thing, and you really liked it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a big aspect of the zone is time seems to fly by, but another element is euphoric, joy,
Mm,
fun, those kind of words.
mm.
Also feeling like it's not really you because it becomes more like instinctive or intuitive or automatic and in that flow. But I've read, well, I teach athletes how to do that, and then I've carried it over to other people, like normal people, because that's your peak performance state, right? But I do remember reading a book once, and it was talking about military and when they're training together and when they're undergoing like a mission that has specific timing and all that, and when they're in that flow together and how amazing that feels. And that's what that reminded me of when you just said that, because it is a whole different experience when you're in the flow as a group versus in the flow by yourself, because there's
Oh yeah.
there's like amazement to it and awe about it, and the energy's even higher, right?
Yeah. That's why I like the team adventures. The rowing was really good because every oar stroke was together. So when you're rowing and you're enjoying the rowing movement, you're actually in flow together. And you're
Yeah.
moving to the destination for this core. Yeah, everything is aligned. Really nice. Good rhythm for that. When I was doing the cycling expedition, I was with the team and we were cycling together. That movement together was really good. I like team sports and outdoor sports. Yeah, it's really,
Yeah.
really good. It's a really metaphorical, but you can get it in your own work, can't you? Like you can have the
Yeah.
sort of flow together when you and I are speakers. If you're connecting with each other now, like we might be in flow now, or on stage, you could be connecting
Yeah.
with the audience, and you suddenly realizing the audience is kind of with you on this sort of journey through
Yeah.
the talk, and then you're kind of in flow. There's lots of different ways, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. Um, that's one of my favorite feelings. Now that we're talking about it, is the more people in that room that are nodding their head and smiling, like we're on the same wavelength, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the best feelings for me. And I get that when I'm one-on-one with a client in like private session, but it's like 1,000-fold stronger when it's to a group. Of course, because I'm a hypnotist, so at times there are people that are skeptical sitting, and they got their arms crossed and they're like trying to see if what I'm saying is legit or true, or obviously that's a whole different vibe. But I was at a speaking engagement maybe 6 weeks ago or something, and everybody in the room was on and smiling and nodding, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." I didn't have any skeptics. It was so great.
Yeah, there's always there can be a bit of skeptic because you are sometimes judged before you even walk into a room. If they have seen you online or your website, people can take a view on you straight away before you've even met them. Sometimes I've come across that a few times.
Yeah,
Or
for sure.
you're one of those privileged, someone pays you to do all your ventures, family, and no, didn't work that way. Or you're just like got really good genes, so you can do all these things. You must be super duper healthy, and that's why you're able to do these things. Yeah, people have skeptical stuff all the time, don't they?
Yeah.
But they can make it a judgment like that just from reading your blog or reading something about you, even before they've even met you.
That's one of the challenges, isn't it? And to not let that get to you. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess if we look at secrets of excellence, that's one of them, is to, stay strong and confident and believe in what you're doing. But I also feel like if we looked at what's another secret here of this excellence, is to, tap into that energy of community or group or
Mm.
multiple people, and not to think you have to do it alone, or that you need to do it alone, or that you um I think that's when the ego's involved, right? And the ego, even in a team, if one person's like, do it my way, we have to do it this way, and you're in the middle of the ocean and you're trying to row, that can be a problem. So everybody's got to put their ego, on a siesta, like chill out and let's work together. And I might be right one time and you might be right the next time, but we're going to compromise and figure this out. And we're going to get in a groove where we all feel satisfied or content. And it's a give and a take. And there's this whole thing that's going on versus one person that's, I know how to do it. We're going to do it this way, my way or the highway. And again, that's not going to work very well out there in the middle of the Atlantic, but it also doesn't work well in businesses,
Yeah.
right? And that
Or household.
the household, anywhere, any
Yeah.
relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the biggest conditions, human conditions, that we have the potential to grow
Oh,
from,
yeah.
but aren't necessarily all growing past it. There's still a lot of judgment, a lot of I'm right and you're wrong, and it should be this way and it shouldn't be that way. And hell, humans have been killing each other over that for thousands of years instead of figuring out how to be in the flow together. Yeah, you've lived that every time you're doing these extreme adventures as a team. Like you can't not compromise.
Yep. No
Have
way.
have you had experiences doing some of these team adventures where you have somebody who may have a big old ego and they weren't compromising and it brought
Yeah,
challenges?
yeah. I've
Yeah.
had it. I would admit on the podcast, I've had ego myself, where I thought, "Hey guys, I've done lots of world records, and this is what worked in the past. I've done it. I've leaned into my history and sort of tried to dictate things, and had to stop myself. Usually, I recruit good team members who are just kind of like, yeah, Isaac, we know you've done all that, but come on, let's and then they reel me back. And that's good when you build your team to be able to do so. But I've also been
Yeah.
where like someone will not change their mind. I've had a really bad team member before in a very difficult, dangerous situation. And
Mm.
yeah, I mean, life and death can be ego can kill people. It really can.
For sure.
We've been close.
Literally.
Yeah,
Literally.
I've had like literal survival before, which has been like not wouldn't want that to happen again.
No.
But sometimes you can prevent that when you have sort of better connection and community before you raise the intensity, if we call it that way. So there were some lessons learned, and I have always, every single expedition, gone into nature, giving myself time and space to think and reflect what worked, what didn't work, what will we do next time better. And one of the things that came from that particular expedition was we definitely needed more time to connect, feel, and understand each other, and really get the motives and purpose behind the reasons why we're doing this sort of joint challenge. People are individuals. People have a different mindset. People have they come from different needs and wants. And sometimes there are some crafty guys and girls who are good at hiding the truth. And I'm not a hypnotist or a psychologist or anything, right? So, if sometimes I can ask these questions and someone can give me a really good answer, like in an interview for a job, and it's not true.
Yes.
I've over the years learned to bring out some more simulated stuff that can kind of trigger, and before doing expeditions with individuals, so we can get a true representation of what someone would be like in a high pressure. That's super essential.
And actions speak louder than words, right? And that's
true.
A big thing that I've learned, even being in the psychology profession. I can be very trusting and believe people and see the good in them. And then what happens is, I don't know, I can end up in crappy situations. But what I've learned is to watch, to be an observer, and to watch people's actions more than their words, and not necessarily telling them what I'm looking for. It's not like, okay, we need someone who's going to go on this expedition who has this, and this. I guess you have to do that to funnel them in at some point. But I'd be more observing and vetting. Do you let some go that aren't going to?
Yeah, I've had lots of scenarios where I've had to say goodbye early. The Atlantic Road challenge, before we had our team of 4. And this is the challenge where there was a very difficult person in the survival situation, where they were very crafty. But I would say 7 people were on the team before we had the 4. So, we really cycled through a lot of team members to make sure that there was a good mix and blend and gel and purpose drive and wants that were very aligned. As much as we could, but also the people had the capacity. That's another thing as well. Often, sometimes we can take things on where we don't have capacity because we want to be overachievers, and you can burn out and things like that because you're not taking care of your well-being. You've taken on this extra thing, and then suddenly you're not in the right headspace for it anymore because you realized it's actually much bigger than you could chew. And there's lots of reasons why teams don't work out. But there's a lot of reasons why teams do work out, and I focus on those more.
Yeah. It reminds me of going into business partnership with somebody and not properly vetting, or when I think about it, I'm like, well, at work you spend more time with that employee or that manager or that business partner than you do your own spouse, because most people are working 8-9 hours a day. They come home and they're only awake a few more hours, and look at the amount of time most people spend getting to know a significant other before they end up deciding to make it legal, right? But work relationships happen so much more quickly. And so one of the things I've learned from years ago, I was a single mom for like 15 years, and I had a girlfriend whose husband, he used to say to me, don't fall for their representative. Because he knew that guys would say whatever, in the first several months. He was like, give it 3 months of just watching and observing and figuring out who they are. Do not fall for the representative. And, and that's the resume, right? Like, that's showing up in a job interview And you've written your own resume, so of course it sounds all great and you're going to put your best foot forward. But that's not really how to best get to know whether or not somebody's going to be a great team player or a good part of your team. And the other thing that I've learned being self-employed is I'm very detail oriented, uh, very organized, very detail oriented. And not everybody's like that, which is fine. However, if I hire a manager, I need that person to be detail oriented. Like they're an extension of me, that I'm paying them to take my place. And I can't have somebody in that position that's not detail oriented or not, super structured or whatever, because I can't work with that. Like I need that. And that's what I'm taking money out of my pocket, meaning I could either do that job myself and get paid for it, or I can decide I'm going to do something else with my time and I'm going to pay you for it. But I need you to do it the way that I'd want. So therefore, there has to be, an understanding of who we are and who the other person is in order to work well together, I think.
Oh yeah, 100%. I just wish sometimes you could try before you buy when you get a job.
Right?
Like, can I spend 3 or 4 months just getting a paycheck, but just kind of watching what things are going on, and yeah, I just see how things go, and then oh no, I gotta go. I'm not liking this, or vice versa, the other way around.
Goes
I mean,
both.
there's the probation, but it works in the favor of the company, not often the employee. So it's it's very interesting.
Yeah, I used to do probation periods with my employees, but I don't know, we never really took it very seriously.
Yeah.
But
It needs structure, doesn't it, to be effective? Yeah.
But you're taking all that, like all that meaning, or meant to point towards all that's at a whole nother level when your life's dependent on it, right? And you're like in the middle of the Atlantic, or you're climbing some mountain, and everything that I just said is taken to a whole nother level of you got to know yourself. You got to know what you work well with, and does this person offer it, and then vice versa, and actions speak louder than words, and a probation period. There's so many different things.
And a skill set that I would say that's really effective is your sort of emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
How can you connect with that person? How good are you at connecting? And can you really connect with them? So I came up short because this person was very crafty, but I'm now probably more expert to sort of read and understand people. But that skill set is something people can learn and develop. It's not something that I walked into. I wasn't 16 years old and could read people and understand their motives and what they're doing and from their actions, and also connect with them and get them to sort of be a bit most people have to be a bit vulnerable to kind of reveal their true intentions. And that sort of thing is really a skill set for a lot of the expeditions that I do. I have to really tap into that. And sometimes I get a lot of pushback from people, and understandably. But at the same time, when I explain the risk, this is why this information is vital, because the risk is death. Like, I want to really know this sort of stuff. Now, you don't have that in a job.
Right.
You don't have that risk of death. Maybe it depends on the job.
Right. Yeah.
In the army, maybe. That's why they you find in the military, the connections, the team building is so great. Why is that? Because the risk is super high. They have to really know each other and get to work together.
Yeah,
they could die. They could die. So the pressure is actually higher. I think we live in quite a comfortable society where you can kind of get away with, if you wanted to, you could start your own sort of remote working business and work from home. Don't have to communicate really with anybody if you wanted to. There's these AI businesses now that you can own. Don't even have to communicate with anyone, and the AI does everything for you and puts money in your bank account. And that, I think, is very limiting. It really shrinks our emotional intelligence, really shrinks our creativity, really shrinks like how we can become masterminds.
Right. 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 I can definitely agree with that. Although AI has helped me take things to a whole nother level. When I look at it more like a personal assistant, like the
Yeah.
amount of time that it would have taken me to maybe research a certain topic,
Mm,
it shrinks that, and
mm.
then I can move on. Um, but so where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
Well, I would love to continue what I'm doing now. I hope to God nothing bad happens to me and I don't, get an injury or sickness or something like that, so I can continue just doing what I'm doing. And reaching more people, expanding the impact, doing more expeditions, bigger challenges. I mean, I don't know how much bigger they can go, but
I'm sure you're gonna
still
figure it out.
stretching me in some way, and making a really good, uh, I guess, story of such that can be quite inspirational for others. Because that's one of the things that I really like to do off the back of all the adventures and expeditions is communicate lessons and provide that sort of motivation and inspiration that yes, I could do something and follow my dreams too, even though I have this background that's slightly different to Isaac, but it looks like he came from a very dark place and was able to go into this world and create something for himself. So maybe I could do the same. There's stuff like that.
Mhm.
That's what I want to be able to
Mhm.
be doing for the next 5 years and forever, really,
Nice.
until I
Mhm.
can't go anymore.
Right. Right. So what would be your advice, so your wisdom, you know, the most important thing right now that you feel you could pass on to an individual from what you've learned so far in your journey?
The most important thing that anyone can take from our conversation today is really looking at fear as an opportunity. It really is. There is so much fear in this world, and if we just use it in a different way, let's not use it for feeling negative. Let's use it as a way that we
Mhm.
can reinvent ourselves or reinvent a thing or try to create a new opportunity from it. Because within fear, it's sort of a disguise for opportunity that people don't see. It's like a mask, just lift the mask and you'll see there's a really good positive thing out of it. Now, please do not take this as an opportunity to jump out of a plane without a parachute and stuff like
No.
this. I don't mean that. I don't mean that at all.
Right.
But what I'm saying is like some fear, reasonable fear that you may have or something can be used for a very good opportunity that could unlock things for yourself, for people around you, for the world. And it's really annoying having all of these people with all this fear and all this opportunity going to waste.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see how that would be annoying for someone who has overcome so many different fears in really big ways. Yeah. I'm sorry, my brain's just going there. I'm trying to think of what annoys me the most, and it related to my profession because it is when somebody plays the victim role, like the poor me, or they would rather just complain than actually do something about it. That's
Mm.
probably but that is in alignment with not only what I teach, but who I am, and so I can see based on who you are, and therefore then what you also teach, that what would be the most annoying thing for you is, when somebody just doesn't overcome the fear,
Well,
right?
it's not just overcoming the fear, but it's even just attempting, right? So,
Yeah.
like, when I say fear, it's like it's discomfort usually,
Y
and
yeah.
it's some people just as soon as something doesn't get, is not comfortable, they run away sometimes, and like the thing is, it's a losing battle from the start. The world changes, everything changes. Climate change. Climate is always changing. Climate's always been changing.
Right.
Everything's changing. Change is uncomfortable. So you have to embrace your fear eventually.
Right. Yeah. I've noticed because I do work a lot with men, there's a lot of men that will say, "I don't have fear. I don't have any fears, Dawn," and I'm like, "Well, if you can finish the sentence, I'm afraid I won't be able to pay my bills because the stock market crashed. I'm afraid that I'm going to miss that target and then I won't be able to win this competition. It's actually built in there. They just aren't used to using that word fear, and they don't like to say the words, right?
Yeah, I that's a whole stigma thing with men. It also ties into men's mental health problems. There's a lot of thread from that particular mindset, and I guess is a sort of, what would you call it, a motto or something? I don't get
Yeah.
scared. I don't get
Yeah.
stiff upper lip.
Well, that would be another takeaway, right? Don't be afraid to acknowledge, recognize, admit that you have fear, and then but do something about it.
Because it could be the best thing, yeah?
Yeah, write it out. Well, very cool, Isaac. I look forward to watching your adventures, and I appreciate you being here. I do want to tell listeners that they can get free goodies and opt-ins on any of my 3 businesses at dawngrant.com/free. Also, follow me on social media. I'll give lots of free tips and good information on there. Isaac, what is your contact info or ways that people can follow your journey?
Easiest, go on to my website, isaackenyon.com, and then the world of Isaac's there. Social media,
Nice.
blogs, content. You can find more ways to stay in contact, and feel free to reach out. I am responsive. I do get back to people if there is any discussion that came from this chat that we had with Dawn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. And I wish you well in all your adventures.
Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Mastered Secrets of Excellence with Don Grant. Whether you're an elite athlete or pursuing success in your career or personal life, Don Grant's expertise and insights are here to guide you. Don't forget to visit dongrant.com/free to grab your exclusive free resources, hypnosis audios, mental training tools, and even a golf cart at her club. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow, rate, and share this podcast. Stay connected with Dawn on all social media platforms for more inspiration, tips, and updates. Remember, mastering your mind is the key to unlocking your full potential. Until next time, keep pushing your limits and striving for excellence.